guys, we're going to try it again, and I'm going to try and talk really loud because the phone doesn't hear anything that's the least bit not loud, so you're probably going to hear lots and lots of engine noise. But this is what we have for live today. We had to cancel, we had to delete the last live stream because we kept having neighbors coming in and out that we needed to move for, and we had the wrong feed given to the animals. And then at the last minute, the neighbor who brought the hay wanted to sit and chat. And so we love them. So we sat and chat. So we stopped the live stream so that we could go visit with the neighbors and not look like we were just being complete, horrible, modern, entitled, not polite neighbors. So we went and talked. Okay, so we will try to get all the information in. Yep, so we're back. Sorry. We will try to get all the information in that we got last time, but in a more concise bundle. So first off, John and I are sleeping in a twin size bed, so I have bags under my eyes. We generally sleep on an air mattress because we move around so much, we don't want to have to carry a big mattress. And our queen size bed deflated a couple nights ago, and so the night before last we shared a couch, John and I, and we slept in an interesting configuration of elbows and knees. And then last night when John went to go get a replacement bed, he got a twin size again. I asked for like a full, okay, we don't have to do a queen size, but let's do a full size. And he comes back with a twin size bed. And so he and I,
we're trying to downsize,
are going to be at arm's length for a while as just the gratitude I feel for that twin size bed. Just stay over there, honey.
I didn't mind it at all.
I know he didn't mind it at all, but he is bigger than me, and I had 2 inches. I was like 2 inches over the edge of the bed instead of on the bed.
No, you were only 2 inches over?
Because he's a cuddler, and I am not a cuddler.
But now you need to explain the rest of it too. We have the queen size quilt to fit on this twin size, so it has to double over or triple.
So I'm in the fold. I was in the fold.
So she's belted in very tightly into this position. It's not that she's gonna fall off of this bed.
I'm in my little cocoon, trapped next to this big man who loves to cuddle, and I cannot get out.
I know,
I got very, very pokey when I got up this morning that I needed release. I needed out of this bed. So, he does. He just wants to cuddle me, and it's so nice to be loved. So you see me saying it with a smile as I hold him at arm's length now.
It's so nice that I just never want to do it again.
I never want to do it again. Give me a bigger bed. So, with the house, what has happened is yesterday I had a lot of phone calls with a lot of different people because we're out at least another 20 days. They may have to do an extension if we want the house. They did go in and do the mold remediation in the one bathroom. They did it yesterday and the day before, but we haven't heard back. I tried to call the mold guy to say, okay, how extensive was the mold? Was it not a big deal? Was it a big deal? Was it in all the walls? How much of the plumbing was in there as a problem?
Is there going to be road noise as we talk?
Yes, there's going to be lots of road noise as we talk. And so I called the mold guy 3 times yesterday, just trying to get interesting information from him that would allow us to make an educated decision. And I didn't hear back from him. And he is friends with our realtor. He actually was chosen by our realtor to do the remediation, which might make me a little nervous because our realtor really wants to sell this house to us. And so if he picked his mold guy, I am worried that his mold guy would be the guy that would like kind of poo-poo things and not take it as seriously as he could. I'm not like casting aspersions on my realtor, but it does make me think, why is this guy not calling me back? But it could also be that legally he can't talk to me because it's not us that's paying for it, it's the seller. So he may not legally be able to tell us anything. And if that's the case, whatever, I would just like to have him tell me that hey, I can't give you any information. I can only give my clients information. So they retest for the mold in the bathroom in a week and a half to see if the air levels went down at all. It was 200 was the baseline from outside, and it was Aspergillus penicillium in the bathroom, and it was at a 14,000. So we were really glad that we ran the air test. And Semper Fi said, I miss the old house, but depends on mold, and not all mold is bad. 99% of mold is easily killed and removed, but there are a few types of mold are dangerous. Yes, and the aspergillus, asper something, that's the one that it's not necessarily bad, but certain types of it can be bad. And that was what I wanted to ask him. I wanted to say, was it just on the surface? Was it just on the outside of the wallpaper? And is the reason it took 2 days to get the remediation done just because the plumber had to get in there? Because they have them go in and fix the plumbing, because it's the dripping of the plumbing that causes the water in the wall. So the plumber has to go in at the same time that the mold people go in to fix things. And so really all I wanted to know, was it actually in the wall, or was it just in the surface? And was it just that it took so long because the plumber had to get in there? So yeah, tried to get a hold of this guy that was doing the mold. Couldn't get a hold of him. His receptionist was super nice, and she's the one who told me that after they finish it, they're a week and a half out before they can retest. I'm not terribly worried about it, because the rest of the house was at a very low level. It was just that one bedroom, and that one bedroom was where we had seen surface mold in a cupboard and a little bit behind a sink. But I am sensitive to that kind of thing. The girls are sensitive to it. We do have, and John's lungs are actually even more sensitive than ours are. When we were in the last rental house and there was moisture and mold in the air, he was the one that had kind of a persistent case of like bronchitis until we got an air purifier, and then it cleared up. And we still need to do the video of that air purifier because it really did a good job for him, and it was not an expensive unit. It was something that a business had sent to us, and John actually did a review video on it, but I've never put it up. But it solved his air problem and his bronchitis or whatever it was. It cleared right up once. How long had you had it on before it cleared up?
I don't know.
A week?
3 days, maybe a week.
Yeah, like in a week, all of a sudden his cough was gone. Flying BS Farm said mold is no joke. Yeah, it's a big deal. I do want to know, was it in the walls? Was it just on the surface? And if it was just that they needed to go in and fix the plumbing, I don't have a problem with it. If it wasn't in the walls, and if it was just surface, and the levels come back down because they fixed the plumbing, I'm not worried about it, just because I think that every house, sorry, I'll try to make sure we show John still. Every house in this area is going to have some kind of mold issue just because it rains so much here, and the humidity's really high. But we do need to pay attention to those elevated numbers that we got in that air test. Let's see, Semper Fi said, another thing I learned about my house built in the 40s is that it breathes. So in winter kind of stinks keeping warm. However, if water leaks, it is easily dried up. So that's nice. Again, the rest of the house wasn't an issue. And now we are here to get our oil changed. I'm going to have to get off the live stream, or I'm going to have to play out here.
Play out here for a minute because it might be.
Yeah, it looks super packed. They close at noon, but they stripped out the plug for our oil pan. Either that or the oil pan was getting old, but it was stripped out, so it has an oversized, well, not all their bays are actually full. So it has an oversized plug that they put into it last time, and it's going to be really expensive if we have to replace the whole thing. So there we go. C. Pulima said John is going to be one of those days Julie is on fire today. Did you see that one? Poor John. But I've been a friendly on fire. Have I been a friendly on fire?
You were never a friendly
I'm very
on fire.
pokey if he tries to approach me.
Never fire.
But I have hugged him a couple times today. You have to admit it, I hugged you a couple times today.
That's for sure.
Of my own free will, I approached you for a hug and said thank you. Did I not? Not interesting.
Interesting.
That's not how we say.
I'm trying to park. We have no parking spaces.
Have I been mean today? I haven't been mean today.
Girls?
I have been friendly.
I think she's asking you, children.
Well, they did take
you
manure
put your-
hay. They put manure hay in the rabbit
feet in
cage.
that bear trap, girls. Go ahead.
That was Paige.
I didn't yell at you though.
I know. And
Yeah,
think
I yelled at
Mommy
Paige.
has been nice today.
And I yelled at John when he wouldn't let me out of the bed this morning. I think that was
Yeah,
justified.
I heard that. That was funny.
It was probably funny, but I was friendly. I didn't bite you. I only poked you. I did not bite you.
Paige, Dad, Mom wants to
And you
hit
guys
Dad.
each hit each other and poked each other.
Hey, Audrey from MWC, Oklahoma. Where is MWC?
I think
West Central. I don't know.
Wash.
Maybe it's NW.
Semperfi said, can't wait for, wait girls, we may not be, well I guess if you want to go with Dad you can, but you don't have to because he's just going in to see what the line is.
They can have popcorn in it on.
Let's see, Semperfi said, can't wait for summer to see you guys garden. At this point, I'm going to put my raised bed, I'm going to wait for all the doors to finish closing and opening. Okay, go out and close the door then, honey. All right. What was I saying? So I am going to go and start putting all of my seedlings and everything into cardboard boxes. I just don't have the money to buy all the Rubbermaids I would need to make the self-watering containers. I have a lot of plants and it's going to cost me a lot just to fill the cardboard boxes with soil, let alone having to buy all the equipment for the self-watering containers. So at this point I'm just going to put them in cardboard boxes, and as the cardboard boxes start to get too wet I'll put them in new cardboard boxes. It'll let me use up the cardboard boxes without having to also spend like $20 a piece for these big self-watering containers. I just don't have it in me right now. It isn't in my bank account and it isn't in me. It's just not my priority system. And it's been this way for years. My mom gardens in self-watering containers, and back when I had access to free icing buckets back in Idaho, I did the self-watering containers because it only cost me like 10 cents per container. But when I tried to do it in bigger containers, I just didn't have the motivation. It just drove me crazy to punch those holes into those big $10 Rubbermaid containers. It just drove me nuts. So cardboard boxes it is. And I've got an eyelash or something in my eyeball. But I do need to do that. I almost did it yesterday, but then I started making all those calls on, I still got it. I started making all those calls on the house and on the mold, and emotionally I just didn't have it in me to try and do any more projects. What I did do is we got a big box of tactical carry conceal gear. I still got it in my eye. We got a big box of tactical carry conceal gear from a ladies tactical internet store. And so today, for the first time in a long time, I'm carrying concealed to just play with the holster. It's a corset holster, and I've tried them before and I did not like them, but this one I actually think I actually like it well enough that I can't tell it's on. Which really surprises me. And Catherine tried it too. I had him send Catherine one because I wanted her opinion on it. She's always worn a corset holster, and she likes this one better than her old one. And also the jacket came from the same place. When they say tactical and all they did is like put a whole bunch of Velcro on it, I don't think that makes it anything special. So I like the jacket just because I like the jacket, but as far as it being an asset in carry conceal, I'm not sure I would give it huge points for that, but I do like the corset holster. Hey, Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. So that is kind of where we stand. Flying VS Farms said, I just started my seeds in my overflow of egg cartons. Great and cheap way. Oh, poor connection. I moved it. Got to move it back to where it was. Stop being poor connection. Everything's charged this time. I was in it. Oh, there. Okay, I won't move. Do not move because then you'll get poor connection. Hey, Christy Betts, how are ya? Yes, I've done it in egg cartons, and I feel like my egg cartons were kind of poisoning them a little bit. When I put them into a compost pile with lots of rabbit manure, then it seems to do great, but as something that is in actual contact with my seed roots, it seems to do bad things. So I'm kind of playing with that still some. I don't know what to think of it. Let's see. Goo Goo for You said, how about finding an ice cream shop and hitting them up for their ice cream containers? That's a fantastic idea. I should do that. Do they have an ice cream shop around us? I haven't seen one. What we did is we went into all the bakeries, even like Walmart bakeries, and asked them if we could have them. And in this area, everybody we've asked reuses their containers for like cleaning and other things, which is what I use them for. So bravo, I like that, but it means they don't have any extras. So we were able to go get 6 total over the course of the last like 3 months. And I do have some green beans planted into them that are doing really well. But for things like tomatoes and what else do I have? Everything else would fit pretty well in an ice cream container, actually. But for tomatoes, if you want them to really take over the world, they need a certain amount of space for their roots. Otherwise, they kind of act a little stunted. Peppers do really well in something that's about 2 gallon size. Ground cherries do really well in that size, but the tomatoes themselves seem to like a little more space. Joseph Poole, how are you? Let's see. Off grid with Doug and Stacy. Yeah, freeze. Exactly. I cannot move my hand. Okay, Flying VS Farm says she tossed the tops into the compost pile. Yeah. Okay, so what else? So update on the house is that they are, KL62 said MWC Midwest City. Oh, I've never been there. Interesting. We may have driven through maybe. So the attorneys are involved in the homestead now, the new homestead, because of the paperwork complications. At this point, they think that it maybe didn't move. The house didn't move. It went from the manufacturer to the dealer in Texas and then to where it is now. So that doesn't count as a move, at least as far as I understand. I talked again to the loan officer and said, okay, if there's red flags on this, please do not put a blind eye to them. Please tell us that there's an issue. Because she walked me through it. She said somebody only has to have a credit score of 530 to be able to purchase this home with a conventional loan. As long as we can get all the paperwork figured out, there should not be a problem if you ever need to resell it, which is good news. So at this point, we're sitting on mold. There was the normal mold level at the house was, I think it was a 200 or 400, which was comparing it from the inside of the house to the outside of the house. What is the mold level? And it was a 400, and but in the master bedroom, bathroom area, it was 14,000 for aspergillus and penicillium. And aspergillus can have those bad spores that can do nasty things later down the road. So we were really glad that we did the air quality test. Hey, Grandpa Jones, how are you? It is so good to see you. Well, it's good that you get to see me. I get to see your words. A painter or drywaller, that's a good idea. And then we could just scrub them down really good, and that would all be good. Yes.
We're at lunchtime by the time they're done, so we'll sit here, finish the show out,
Okay.
say hi to everybody, and then walk home.
We're gonna walk home. Where are we?
We're
Not far from
next
home.
to the.
Oh, nice.
We're across the street from the library.
Do we want to tie up the garbage and go put it in the dumpster so they don't have to deal with it and double check we've got everything we need? Or does it not
We can
matter?
do that too.
I wish you had tennis shoes on.
It's nice and warm.
I might wish I had tennis shoes on too. Might wish I had a coat too.
Well, I think we have one in the
breezy.
emergency kit. We could pull it out if you
Chilly
want.
and breezy. Shoes?
I-
A shoe?
I have socks in the emergency kit for you, and I have a coat in the emergency kit for you, but no shoes.
No. See, native Oklahoman shorts and sandals and a coat or sweatshirt.
Okay, Anne just said, I just tuned in when you were talking about a holster and that you liked it. What is it? I have been through so many. I haven't yet found one that I love. So I'm
The
wearing...
name badge.
Wait, no, don't. Don't look at the name badge. Don't say that. Okay, now I have to move it so you can't see the name badge. We're still testing it. This is the first time that I've worn it out in public. And before I give it like the huge overall recommendation, I want to test a little more, because I have also gone through the ringer trying to find a holster, and this one is not inexpensive. It costs a pretty penny. So I want to try it. I want to wear it for a little bit longer before I tell anybody what it is. But it is a corset holster. The thing with the corset holsters is it fits all the different guns, but it does not have a retention. It's not a retention holster. It does not have a trigger guard that will keep you from sticking your finger into that trigger if you're rooting around too much in your pocket. So I do...
Here's the thing. Don't let anybody root around in your corset.
What about me?
Well,
Sometimes
don't be
I root
rooting-
around in my
don't
corset to
root
get my
around
gun
in your
out.
corset. Well, then I guess at that point, don't put your finger on the trigger till you have it on the target.
Thank you, honey. Next time you wear my corset holster, you can tell me what you think.
Okay.
Until then, let me finish what I'm saying. So I am trying it out. When I have been putting it in and taking it out, I have noticed that I have to be very careful and think straight finger, straight finger, straight finger as I am putting it in and taking it out, because even though it has the Velcro strap on the back that holds it, it is not as like upright and secure and clamped in as it would be if it was a rigid holster that was made for the gun itself. But I will say that it conceals much better than the others that I've worn, because with a pancake holster and other inside the waistband, outside the waistband, whichever it is, because they're rigid on a woman's body, because she has these curves, if you bend over, it has a tendency that the handle or the nose of the gun will bump out like this when you bend over like that, or that if you try and hold it into your body too close, the top and the handle part will come away from you. And so the rigidity makes it so that as you're moving, you've got printing that's happening. So that's why I'm trying it out. And when we know that we like it, and I've gone out and maybe practiced with it at the range a couple times, then I will give a recommendation that I love it. At this point, I just think it's super comfortable and easy to conceal in. But if you're not familiar with shooting, if you haven't gone to the range much, I'm not sure that I would recommend it, because there is that chance that if you don't remember that you need to keep your finger off that trigger, you could shoot yourself. And I take that quite seriously. So I'm gonna play with it a bit more. Minnesota here said, not sure if it wants to be spring yet or winter. Oh, that's Semper Fi.
Here too. So.
But it feels more like an Idaho spring when it gets cold here rather than a full-on winter. We've been down in the like 40s and 50s, but during the day we've had some 85s and a 90. So it just kind of keeps coming back and forth. Okay, so they said, cool, we'll look forward to the review. Yeah, I've already got half the video made just from the unboxing, but I do want to try it out, because I think this particular holster is $110, which I think we've had some paddle holsters and others that were like 30 to 60. Isn't that about what a good paddle holster, retention holster?
I think the most I ever spent on a good leather holster has been about half that.
Is 60?
On my pancake is about $60.
Yeah, so one of those is a lot less expensive and could be, not necessarily, but could be safer.
But it does not conceal.
But on a woman that is slight and likes to wear clothes that aren't necessarily really bulky, it's one thing in the winter, because you can wear a coat over it, you can wear a sweater over it, and it hides it. But a lot of what I do is working outside in the summer, and I would like to be able to conceal in the summer without having to wear 14 layers. Right now what I'm wearing is a one of those like shelf bra tank tops, and then the corset holster after that, and then a t-shirt over that. In Idaho, that might or might not be a big deal, because that holster is kind of, it's not bulky, but it's solid, so that's 3 layers. Here in Oklahoma, wearing those 3 layers might be really uncomfortable, and I don't like to wear the corset holster without that t-shirt underneath it. Then it is quite uncomfortable, and you would be sweaty, and you'd be having to wash your holster quite frequently. So were there any other questions on the house? It isn't a sure thing that we'll get it, because the attorney is still working with it and they are still doing the remediation on it. But Did
you explain what the attorney has to do?
He has to kill the DMV paperwork.
Right. You have to get 2 government agencies to talk to each other, and one of those 2 is going to have to give money up.
Hey, Sandra. Yeah, when you bring a manufactured home in, you have to take off the axles and the tongue so that it cannot be pulled out, and you have to put it on a permanent foundation, which it has been. But when they did that, they did not then go to the DMV and say, okay, this car no longer exists. We destroyed the car. Here's the paperwork for destroying that car. And now I'm going to go register it as a building on my property. And then the taxes that were paid would then be paid on a home rather than on a car. And so what they're doing now, and one of the reasons that they were worried at one point was that the sellers are having to go and pay back taxes on this, because it was still registered as a vehicle. They were paying taxes on a vehicle, not on a home. And so in fact, when I was talking to Sandra about it, our loan officer, she was saying, oh my gosh, the taxes they must be paying on this thing are ridiculous, because they're having to pay all the back taxes for 25 years of this home not being registered as a home. And so it's a little bit amazing that they still want to sell it, because they had to pay all that money for the mold remediation, and they're having to pay the back taxes, and now they're having to pay the attorney his thousands of dollars to go and do the paperwork to make sure that it's done right, so that we as the new buyers would be able to sell the house again, because the paperwork would all be in order at this point.
So it's not going to be hard for us to sell. It's a nightmare for them.
It's a nightmare for them, and it's been a nightmare
And we
for
feel
us.
So yeah, it's
Wondering
been a
if we
nightmare,
could get it, because our clock has been ticking a little bit about John's work, and also about me going and setting up water in Idaho. Are we going to get the property before we need to go?
And our apartment.
And the apartment, because we were supposed to be moving out of the apartment. And so, yeah, we don't have the house yet. But,
What are they talking about? Okay.
and so that's what is happening with the house. And, it's just, that was the thing that is just fun, is that it was a house that was paid cash for, and now the family doesn't know where the house has been or what its history is, because the paperwork wasn't filed. And what do you do? Bye, Semper Fi, thank you. Flying BS Farm said Nevada's nice because no property taxes.
Yes.
Hello, Central Florida
That'd be
Prepper.
nice.
And then, so that's just pretty much where things sit, is the attorney said he could have it done in 20 days. And when he said that, we had 30 days left before all the paperwork that's already been done kind of ran out.
'Cause everything's got to have a time limit on it.
At one point, we wanted to do an early occupancy. At this point, I really don't want to do an early occupancy. For one thing, it'll take them a week and a half to go back out and retest the mold, and we can't be in it before then. And at that point, we should be closer to knowing what the attorney says as far as if the paperwork gets signed. So I think it's actually wiser for us to just sit it out, sit in the apartment, and be patient, and see if it comes or goes, and that it just has to be okay.
Yep.
All right. Think months down the road, homesteading in your own home. Yes, if we do get it. And if we don't get it, we kind of have to change gears and decide if we're going to rent or wait until the end of summer, wait for our lease to be up. But it's not that long out. We're almost in May. So it's not, it'd be a short summer, I'm sure. You may be able to get gallon cans from school for your plants. That's a good idea too. All right, so do we have any other information that we need to do before we head out?
It's cold. It's rainy.
And we need to walk home.
Probably we need to walk.
John's in slippers.
I'm making
Flip-flops. There's a difference.
Flip-flops. So did you already give him the keys?
Yes. And do you have your keys?
No.
Okay. The
Do you
house
want to go
key.
get your house key off of it?
Yeah. I think
Okay, we're going to go, and that's the update. And otherwise, everything is exactly the same, except that we need to plant up some plants. So,
And Kai and me are planting plants right now.
and they are helping with the
I have
gardening.
a whole bunch of plants that are grown.
Yep. All right. So hopefully that live stream was a little bit better than the last one, where we were interrupted by neighbors and needing to move, and the ponies were misbehaving, and weird things with the rabbits were happening. So thanks, guys, and thanks for tuning in. There will be a live stream today at 11 o'clock Central Time on Facebook. Hopefully I will be there for it. If not, Catherine is going to show off her cooking skills with a really great cookbook, or what's the other one she was going to do? Or she'll make soap. So make sure to check in there. And I wish I could figure out... there we go. Was there anything else I needed to hit? Nope, we got it.